The islands of Japan, shrouded in mist and legend, have been inhabited for millennia. Archaeological evidence points to the Jomon period, stretching back as far as 14,000 BCE, as the first sign of human presence. These early inhabitants, hunter-gatherers by trade, left behind a legacy of intricate pottery decorated with patterns that still inspire awe today. This pottery, known as Jomon, meaning cord-marked, gives the period its name. The Jomon people lived in pit dwellings, evidence of which can be found across the archipelago. They hunted deer and boar, gathered nuts and berries, and fished the abundant waters surrounding the islands. As the centuries passed, a new culture emerged: the Yayoi. Arriving from mainland Asia around 300 BCE, they brought with them revolutionary technologies, rice cultivation and metalworking. These innovations transformed Japanese society. Rice farming allowed for settled communities and surplus food production. This led to population growth and the development of social hierarchies. The Yayoi people also introduced bronze and iron tools and weapons, further advancing their society. By the 3rd century CE, powerful clans began to emerge, vying for dominance. This period, known as the Kofun period, is named after the massive burial mounds, Kofun constructed for the elite. These tombs, often shaped like keyholes, contained elaborate grave goods reflecting the wealth and power of the ruling class. The Yamato clan, based in the Kinai region, gradually rose to prominence. They established a strong military force and expanded their territory through conquest and alliances. By the 6th century, the Yamato had established themselves as the dominant power in Japan, laying the groundwork for the imperial system. The Yamato rulers embraced the title of emperor and established a hereditary system of succession. However, the early Japanese emperors were not absolute rulers. They relied on the support of powerful aristocratic families who controlled vast tracts of land and commanded their own armies. This complex interplay of power between the emperor, the aristocracy, and regional clans would shape Japanese politics for centuries to come. The 6th century marked a turning point in Japanese history with the arrival of Buddhism from the Korean peninsula. This new religion, with its emphasis on compassion, enlightenment, and the pursuit of spiritual awakening, resonated deeply with the Japanese people. Buddhist teachings spread rapidly, embraced by both the ruling elite and commoners alike. Temples and monasteries were constructed throughout the land, becoming centers of learning, art, and culture. Prince Shotoku, a powerful regent during the Asuka period, played a pivotal role in promoting Buddhism and establishing a centralized government. Inspired by Chinese models, Shotoku implemented a series of reforms aimed at strengthening the imperial court and streamlining administration. He established a system of court ranks, codified laws, and promoted Confucianism alongside Buddhism as guiding principles for governance. In 710 CE, the imperial court moved to the newly constructed capital of Nara, modeled after the Tang dynasty capital of Chang'an. This marked the beginning of the Nara period, a golden age of Buddhist art and culture. Magnificent temples, such as the Todaiji, home to the great Buddha statue, were erected, showcasing the architectural and artistic skills of the age. Buddhist scriptures were copied and disseminated, and monasteries became important centers of learning. However, the growing influence of the Buddhist institutions, with their vast land holdings and tax-exempt status, eventually led to tensions with the imperial court. In 794 CE, the capital was moved to Heian-kyo, marking the start of the Heian period. This era witnessed a flourishing of Japanese culture as the imperial court, freed from the direct influence of the Buddhist establishment, became a patron of the arts. As the Heian period progressed, the power of the imperial court declined, and a new warrior class, the samurai, rose to prominence. These skilled swordsmen, bound by a strict code of honor known as Bushido, became the dominant military force in the land. Samurai clans, often led by powerful warlords, vied for control of territory and resources, eroding the authority of the emperor. In 1185, Minamoto no Yoritomo, a cunning and ruthless samurai leader, emerged victorious from the Genpei War, a bloody conflict between the Minamoto and Taira clans. Yoritomo established the Kamakura Shogunate, a military government headed by a shogun, a supreme military commander, who exercised real power in the name of the emperor. This marked the beginning of Japan's feudal period, which would last for nearly 7 centuries. The Kamakura Shogunate, though powerful, faced external threats. In 1274 and 1281, Kublai Khan, the Mongol ruler of China, launched massive invasions of Japan. The samurai, outnumbered but determined, fought fiercely, repelling the Mongol forces. These victories, attributed in part to timely typhoons that scattered the Mongol fleets, cemented the samurai's reputation as fearless warriors and protectors of the realm. However, internal conflicts continued to plague Japan. In 1333, the Kamakura shogunate was overthrown, and a succession of short-lived shogunates followed. The Ashikaga clan eventually established the Ashikaga shogunate in 1336, but their rule was marked by political instability and frequent warfare between rival daimyo, powerful feudal lords who commanded their own armies. The Ashikaga shogunate's grip on power weakened throughout the 15th and 16th centuries, plunging Japan into a prolonged period of civil war known as the Sengoku period, the Warring States period. Daimyo, vying for supremacy, clashed in brutal conflicts, their samurai armies laying waste to the land. New technologies such as firearms introduced by Portuguese traders in 1543 transformed warfare, making battles even more devastating. Amidst this chaos, 3 ambitious and ruthless warlords emerged, determined to unify Japan: Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. Nobunaga, a brilliant strategist and ruthless tactician, rose to prominence in the mid-16th century. He conquered much of central Japan, employing firearms to devastating effect against his enemies. However, Nobunaga's ambitions were cut short in 1582 when he was betrayed by one of his own generals and forced to commit suicide. Toyotomi Hideyoshi, Nobunaga's loyal general, avenged his master's death and continued the quest for unification. Hideyoshi, a skilled administrator as well as a military leader, completed the conquest of Japan in 1590, bringing an end to the Sengoku period. He implemented a series of reforms aimed at consolidating his power and stabilizing the country. However, Hideyoshi's ambitions did not end with Japan. In 1592, he launched the first of 2 invasions of Korea, hoping to conquer the peninsula as a stepping stone to China. Despite initial successes, the Japanese forces were eventually pushed back by a coalition of Korean and Chinese armies. After Hideyoshi's death in 1598, power passed to Tokugawa Ieyasu, a cunning and patient daimyo who had been Hideyoshi's ally. Ieyasu, a master strategist and politician, outmaneuvered his rivals and consolidated his power. In 1600, he decisively defeated his opponents at the Battle of Sekigahara, securing his control over Japan. Section 5. The Edo period, an era of isolation and peace. Tokugawa Ieyasu, having unified Japan under his rule, established the Tokugawa shogunate in 1603. He moved the capital to Edo, which is present-day Tokyo, and implemented a strict social hierarchy to ensure stability. At the top were the samurai, followed by farmers, artisans, and merchants at the bottom. This rigid system, enforced through a complex web of laws and regulations, maintained order and suppressed dissent for over 250 years. To prevent further uprisings and consolidate his power, Ieyasu implemented a policy of alternate attendance, or sankin-kotai, that required daimyo to spend every other year in Edo, effectively holding their families hostage to ensure loyalty. This system, while costly, helped to centralize power and prevent the formation of regional power bases that could challenge the shogunate. The Tokugawa shogunate, wary of foreign influence and fearing that contact with the outside world could destabilize Japan, adopted a policy of isolation, known as sakoku. Foreign trade was strictly controlled and contact with Western nations was limited to a small number of Dutch and Chinese merchants confined to designated trading posts. Christianity, seen as a threat to the established order, was ruthlessly suppressed. Despite its isolation, the Edo period witnessed a flourishing of Japanese culture. Woodblock printing flourished, producing vibrant and detailed images that captured the essence of Edo life. Kabuki theater, with its elaborate costumes, dramatic storylines and stylized acting, became incredibly popular. Literature thrived, producing masterpieces such as Ihara Saikaku's The Life of an Amorous Man and Matsuo Basho's evocative haiku poetry. Section 6, Meiji Restoration. Japan opens to the world. The Tokugawa shogunate's policy of isolation, while effective in maintaining stability, ultimately left Japan vulnerable to the rapidly changing world beyond its shores. By the 19th century, Western powers, driven by industrialization and imperial ambitions, were expanding their influence in Asia. In 1853, Commodore Matthew Perry of the United States Navy sailed into Edo Bay with a fleet of heavily armed warships, demanding that Japan open its ports to trade. Perry's arrival sent shockwaves through Japanese society. The shogunate, acutely aware of the technological disparity between Japan and the West, reluctantly agreed to Perry's demands, signing a series of unequal treaties that granted Western powers favorable trade concessions and extraterritoriality rights. The shogunate's perceived weakness in the face of foreign pressure sparked resentment among many samurai, particularly in the southern domains of Satsuma and Choshu. They believed that the shogun had betrayed Japan's interests and called for a return to imperial rule under the slogan, "Revere the Emperor, expel the barbarians." In 1868, a coalition of samurai from Satsuma and Choshu, supported by court nobles loyal to the emperor, launched a coup d'état, overthrowing the Tokugawa shogunate and restoring Emperor Meiji to power. This event, known as the Meiji Restoration, marked a pivotal turning point in Japanese history, ushering in an era of unprecedented change and modernization. Section 7, The Road to War and its Aftermath. The Meiji Restoration ushered in an era of dramatic transformation as Japan embarked on a crash course of modernization to catch up with the West. The new government, determined to avoid being colonized like other Asian nations, implemented a series of reforms aimed at transforming Japan into a modern, industrialized nation-state. The feudal system was abolished, a conscript army was established, and a new education system based on Western models was introduced. Japan's industrial revolution was swift and impressive. Factories sprang up across the country, producing textiles, ships, and weapons. Railroads were laid, connecting major cities and facilitating trade. Japan's economy boomed, propelling it into the ranks of the world's industrial powers. However, Japan's rapid modernization came at a cost. Westernization was often superficial, with traditional values and customs clashing with Western ideals. Social inequality widened, and labor unrest grew as workers struggled to cope with harsh working conditions and low wages. Moreover, Japan's growing industrial might fueled its imperial ambitions, leading it down a path of militarism and expansionism. In 1931, Japan, driven by its desire for raw materials and seeking to expand its empire, invaded Manchuria, a resource-rich region in northeastern China. This marked the beginning of Japan's expansionist campaign in Asia, which culminated in its entry into World War II in 1941. Japan's early victories in the war were stunning, as its military forces swept through Southeast Asia, capturing vast territories. However, Japan's fortunes turned after the United States entered the war in 1941. Facing a superior enemy and relentless Allied bombing campaigns, Japan fought on with fanatical determination, but its defeat was inevitable. The war ended in August 1945 with the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and Japan's unconditional surrender. Section 8. Economic Miracle to Stagnation. The aftermath of World War II left Japan devastated. Its cities lay in ruins, its economy was in shambles, and its people were demoralized by defeat and occupation. However, from the ashes of war, Japan achieved a remarkable recovery, transforming itself into an economic powerhouse in a few short decades. This economic miracle, as it came to be known, was fueled by a combination of factors, including American aid, government support for industry, a highly skilled workforce, and a relentless focus on export-oriented growth. Japanese companies such as Toyota, Sony, and Panasonic became global giants, their products synonymous with quality and innovation. However, Japan's economic boom came to an abrupt halt in the early 1990s with the bursting of the bubble economy, a period of speculative excess that had inflated asset prices to unsustainable levels. The collapse of the bubble plunged Japan into a prolonged period of economic stagnation known as the Lost Decade, later referred to as the Lost 2 Decades and even the Lost 3 Decades. During this time, Japan grappled with deflation, a shrinking workforce, and a mountain of government debt. The once vaunted Japanese model of capitalism, characterized by close cooperation between government, industry, and banks, seemed to have lost its magic touch. Section 9. Modern Japan, a global powerhouse. Despite the economic challenges it has faced in recent decades, Japan remains a global powerhouse. It boasts the world's third largest economy, a technologically advanced society, and a rich cultural heritage that continues to captivate people around the world. Japan has made significant contributions to science, technology, and innovation, from high-speed rail to robotics to video games. Its companies are leaders in fields such as automotive manufacturing, consumer electronics, and robotics. Japan is also a leader in sustainable development with a strong commitment to environmental protection and renewable energy. However, Japan faces a number of challenges in the 21st century. Its population is aging rapidly, leading to a shrinking workforce and increasing strain on social welfare systems. The country is also grappling with issues such as income inequality, gender disparity, and political apathy. On the global stage, Japan plays an increasingly important role as a major economic power and a key ally of the United States. Japan is a vocal advocate for free trade, democracy, and the rule of law. It has also been active in promoting peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific region, working to address issues such as North Korea's nuclear ambitions and China's growing assertiveness. From its ancient origins to its modern-day achievements, Japan's history is a testament to the resilience, ingenuity, and cultural richness of its people. As Japan navigates the complexities of the 21st century, it continues to inspire the world with its unique blend of tradition and innovation, its unwavering pursuit of excellence, and its enduring spirit of Gambaru, perseverance and determination in the face of adversity.